Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that the secret to rising above fear, doubt, and failure was not talent, not luck, not even education? What if the key to everything you ever dreamed of, the breakthrough, the confidence, the transformation, already lives within you? It does. And that key is your mindset. You see, the greatest force in this world is not found in wealth, armies, or inventions. It is found in the quiet determination of the individual who refuses to be defeated, not by circumstance, not by failure, and certainly not by fear. Your mental attitude, the way you choose to think, to feel, and to respond, is the master key to your destiny. Let me say it plainly, you become what you believe. If you feed your mind doubt, you will live in hesitation. If you feed it fear, you will live in paralysis. But feed it faith, feed it belief, and feed it the vision of a purpose so clear it wakes you up in the morning and nothing will be able to stop you. This is not wishful thinking. This is principled living. Fear and doubt, they are not giants. They are illusions. They exist only because we let them. But the moment you stand with a definite chief aim, a purpose so strong it burns in your chest, they begin to shrink, and you begin to rise. But purpose alone is not enough. You must speak it. You must repeat it. Auto-suggestion, the daily repetition of your purpose, your beliefs, your truths, is the way we reprogram the mind. Speak it in the morning, write it at night, think it in stillness, and soon your subconscious will begin to act like it already knows the way. Success is not a lightning strike. It is a daily decision. A decision to discipline your thoughts, a decision to guard your attitude, the decision to rise every time you fall and fall forward. If you do not train your mind, the world will train it for you. And the world is full of drift people floating aimlessly, blaming fate, waiting on something to change. But not you. Not today. Today you choose intentionality. You choose purpose. You choose to build yourself from the inside out. You want to be unstoppable. Then stop giving fear your voice. Stop giving doubt your time. Start giving your purpose your life. You were not born to drift. You were born to decide, to commit, and to transform. And the only thing standing between you and the life you dream of is your mental attitude. So fix it, fuel it, fortify it, and then rise. Your mental attitude is the master key to your future because it governs not only how you perceive the world, but also how the world responds to you. Every circumstance, every setback, every opportunity is filtered through the lens of your mindset. If that lens is clouded by negativity, fear, or self-pity, then even the greatest of opportunities will seem like threats. But if your mental attitude is clear, focused, and resilient, you will find doors where others see walls. The profound truth is this: your outer world will always reflect the condition of your inner world. This is not mere optimism or vague self-help jargon. It is a psychological and spiritual law. Your attitude sets the boundaries of your perception. It dictates what you notice, how you interpret it, and how you respond. When your attitude is saturated with purpose, gratitude, and belief, your mind becomes alert to possibilities that were always there, yet invisible to the undisciplined thinker. This is why talent alone is not enough. There are millions of people with raw potential who never rise above mediocrity. Luck is inconsistent, and education, while valuable, does not guarantee success unless the mind is trained to apply it with courage and consistency. Mental attitude is the root system beneath all lasting achievement. It feeds your actions, anchors your perseverance, and fuels your capacity to turn pain into progress. When one understands that attitude is a chosen state, not an inherited trait, everything changes. You are no longer a prisoner of your mood or your environment. You become the architect of your perspective. You respond to adversity not with complaint, but with curiosity. You meet difficulty not with defeat, but with determination. And in that space where thought governs action, your destiny begins to bend in the direction of your dominant mental state. Fear and doubt are not external forces pressing against you from the outside world. They are internal constructs, illusions of the mind, often born from a lack of clarity, direction, or self-trust. These emotions are subtle saboteurs. They disguise themselves as caution, logic, or humility, but in truth, they are mechanisms of paralysis that prevent the soul from advancing toward its highest potential. The mind, when left untrained, tends to default to self-preservation rather than expansion. In this state, fear becomes a strategy to avoid imagined danger rather than a tool for discernment, and doubt becomes a refuge from responsibility. The wise individual does not deny fear or pretend it does not exist. They study it. They ask what it is guarding, what belief it is protecting, and whether that belief still serves their progress. Doubt, when investigated with honesty and precision, often reveals not a lack of ability, but a lack of alignment. Many people doubt themselves not because they are incapable, but because they have never clarified their direction or fortified their beliefs with conviction. The first step to defeating fear and doubt is understanding that they can only survive in the absence of deliberate thought. They thrive in the minds that have surrendered to uncertainty, comparison, or past wounds. But when you begin to direct your thoughts with intention, when you begin to claim authorship over your internal narrative, fear loses its voice and doubt loses its foundation. The disciplined mind does not wait for perfect confidence before it acts. It moves forward in the presence of fear, knowing that courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. And mastery begins with the decision to think, not react, to choose, not drift, to lead, not shrink. Autosuggestion is not merely a repetition of words. It is the deliberate and purposeful imprinting of thought upon the subconscious mind. Every thought you repeatedly affirm, especially when emotionally charged, becomes a command to the deeper layers of your psyche. The subconscious does not differentiate between truth and falsehood, fantasy and fact. It simply accepts what is impressed upon it with intensity and consistency. This is why casual thinking bears little fruit, while intentional, emotionally driven affirmations alter behavior, perception, and ultimately outcomes. The ancient thinkers and modern psychologists alike have agreed on this one immutable truth. What you hold in your inner dialogue becomes your outer reality. When one persistently tells themselves they are limited, unlucky, or inadequate, the subconscious accepts this narrative and begins to orchestrate behavior to match that identity. Conversely, when one declares with conviction that they are capable, focused, and destined for achievement, the subconscious begins to unlock reserves of energy, creativity, and resilience to fulfill that vision. The mind is shaped not by isolated thoughts, but by repeated impressions. Words spoken with belief become mental blueprints. And just as a blueprint guides the construction of a building, your internal narrative guides the construction of your life. Autosuggestion works not because the words themselves are magical, but because they act as a vehicle to direct your attention, align your emotions, and condition your inner world to mirror the life you intend to build. It is not enough to think positively once or twice and expect transformation. Just as physical strength requires daily effort, mental reprogramming demands repetition. Autosuggestion is a spiritual discipline, a cognitive ritual, a psychological tool, and when used with sincerity, focus, and persistence, it becomes the hidden lever by which the ordinary individual rises into extraordinary influence and fulfillment. Discipline is the silent architect of transformation, the unseen force that forges inner strength and sustained progress when all external motivation fades. It is not driven by mood, convenience, or emotion. It is anchored in principle. Without discipline, inspiration becomes fleeting and knowledge lies dormant. It is discipline that bridges the gap between intention and execution, between what we desire and what we ultimately achieve. Those who master it become rulers of their own mind. Those who neglect it become slaves to distraction, doubt, and delay. Every great life is constructed upon the foundation of disciplined habits. These habits are not dramatic or complex. They are often simple, quiet, and repetitive. Yet it is their repetition that gives them power. The disciplined mind does not chase intensity. It cultivates consistency. It understands that the cumulative effect of small daily efforts practiced without fail outweighs the rare bursts of enthusiasm. Mental toughness is not born from grand gestures, but from the decision to show up for oneself, especially when it would be easier not to. True discipline is not punishment, but alignment. It is the art of aligning your actions with your higher values, even when the immediate reward is invisible. The undisciplined mind lives reactively, responding to the loudest voice or the strongest temptation. But the disciplined mind acts from a place of intention, guided by a long-term vision rather than short-term comfort. It is through discipline that clarity is protected, distractions are silenced, and the inner self is refined. It teaches the mind to obey the will rather than be driven by impulse. This obedience to purpose, repeated daily, reshapes identity. The one who practices discipline becomes not only effective in action, but deeply rooted in character, immune to the whims of circumstance, and steady in the face of internal and external storms. Without a definite chief aim, the mind becomes scattered, drifting from one desire to the next without direction, depth, or power. The human psyche, like a magnifying glass, only burns with intensity when focused. A mind without a central aim lacks the magnetic force to attract opportunity, energy, and aligned action. In contrast, a mind possessed by a clearly defined purpose becomes a force of nature, single-minded, intentional, and immune to the distractions that derail the ordinary thinker. It is this clarity of aim that transforms vague ambition into concentrated achievement. A definite chief aim is not a casual wish or fleeting desire. It is the deliberate selection of a primary goal elevated above all competing interests. It becomes the internal compass that governs decisions, filters thoughts, and disciplines behavior. Every great builder of empires, inventions, and movements began not with unlimited resources, but with an unwavering focus on a single objective. It is this objective that gives meaning to effort, converts hardship into fuel, and imbues every task, no matter how mundane, with deeper significance. Clarity of aim activates the subconscious mind, enlisting it as a silent partner in achievement. It programs perception to notice what aligns and discard what distracts. It reduces mental fatigue by eliminating the noise of indecision and fuels emotional resilience by keeping the end in view. When one operates with a definite chief aim, setbacks become feedback and time becomes an asset rather than a threat. To live without a definite aim is to surrender control of one's destiny to external forces. The individual drifts, reacting rather than creating, surviving rather than building. But when thought is fixed upon a singular outcome, life begins to organize itself around that outcome. The universe responds not to vague desire, but to precise intention, backed by unwavering will. Unstoppable individuals are not shaped by ease or protected from adversity. They are refined through resistance, forged in discomfort, and elevated by their unwavering commitment to inner mastery. They are not born with exceptional gifts, but they develop exceptional strength through the disciplined cultivation of mindset, belief, and will. What separates the unstoppable from the uncertain is not the absence of failure, but their interpretation of it. While others see obstacles as reasons to retreat, the unstoppable mind sees them as invitations to evolve, as sacred pressure that reveals untapped potential. To become unstoppable is to become immune to external validation and independent of circumstances. It is to operate from a deep internal source of drive, a wellspring of purpose that is not shaken by rejection, fatigue, or delay. This inner force is not loud or boastful. It is calm, silent, and immovable. It does not rely on motivation to act. It relies on identity, belief, and deliberate repetition of thought aligned with purpose. The mind, when trained in this manner, becomes unbothered by temporary pain and uninterested in petty distraction. Adversity, for the unstoppable, is not an interruption of the path. but a vital part of it. They understand that greatness is not handed down, but extracted from experience through the disciplined use of attention, resilience, and decision. They do not drift because they have direction. They do not fold because they have trained their thoughts to remain centered under pressure. Every setback becomes a signal, every delay a chance to refine, and every failure an essential part of the construction process. This state of being is not reserved for the rare few. It is accessible to anyone willing to master their inner world. The raw materials are the same. What differs is the level of intention, self-command, and fidelity to the higher vision.